Hi, Rick Gardner here with Leanne Del Carpio, and today's topic is group dialogue. So, Leanne, you and I do a lot of work with leadership teams and other groups, and one of the things that we want to focus on today is what's going on in the room that maybe not on the agenda, right? And so you've heard the expression, the elephants in the room.
Right.
We have them here today with us. Did you notice them? Right? These elephants sometimes are a lot larger than the ones you see here, right? And they're obvious to many, but it's not being discussed. So, Leanne, when you're working with groups and you notice the elephant in the room, what are some of the things you do to get the awareness of the group around discussing the real issue so that you can have proper dialogue?
Yeah, one of the things, I think it's a great topic, Rick. We can all feel when the elephant's in the room, the tension is there, or there's a topic that people are dancing around. They're not coming at an issue straight on because there's perhaps political background or there's some other context, history of conflict between two individuals or some upcoming changes that people aren't ready to talk about potentially, right? So one of the practices that I work on with my leaders is the practice of notice and name. So noticing and naming is an individual practice that we can do for ourselves when we feel tense or we feel some kind of emotion that's bubbling up in a conversation. We're feeling frustrated because we're not making progress. You know, you're in an infinity loop of conversation, or you feel a little bit nervous or tense. You can kind of notice and name for yourself what's going on. And it actually diffuses the energy. Well, it's a wonderful personal practice, but even more important as a leader to notice and name the energy in the room because it transmutes that energy for everyone. We can all feel it, but most of us avoid saying anything about it. And so the practice is literally stepping back and saying, you know, I'd like to just pause and just notice that we've been spinning on this topic for about 5 to 10 minutes now, and I can sense the energy in the room. I would describe it as a little bit constricted, or I can sense there's people inhaling more than exhaling. I just want to put that out there. Is anyone else picking up on that? It feels like there's maybe something that wants to be said here. What wants to be said? And most people will laugh, a nervous laugh, and then someone will usually comment, well, you know, I noticed it, and here's what I would say. I concur, and and then it just sort of opens up the conversation to be real, to be authentic. Because as a facilitator, you and I can actually pull back and do that expertly to say, notice that we've made some good progress on X, Y, and Z, but also notice that when we brought this topic up, there was a great pause. The energy seemed to change in the room. Is there anything more that needs to be expressed, or is there something that we haven't explored that needs to be given voice? Because now's the time. We're here in this space to tackle this now. It can be harder sometimes when you're in the senior executive team, and there are these dynamics at play. Nonetheless, it's a game changer in my experience for leaders that do it. How about you?
Yeah, great. So I love that name, and notice, and that is really nice in terms of identifying that. And I want to explore a little bit deeper because sometimes I find, okay, when we do notice and name, right, there's something that's deeper than that. There's a reason why there's elephants in the room beforehand, right? Because the organization has maybe created some psychological safety for the group and all that. So we as facilitators have to be attentive to when we say, does anything need to be said? Is that all that needs to be said? Or is there something deeper? And how do we create a space to create that psychological safety when it may not have been present with the group that we're working with?
Yeah.
So what are some of the things you might do to get to even a deeper level when you might sense, they're saying some things, but I still get the sense there's something more. There's a bigger elephant in the room.
Yeah.
What might you do then?
Well, in offsites, and you and I do this, we'll often create like a break, right? And actually put a pause in the action. And during that break, connect with a couple of key leaders in the room that will help open up the dialogue. So based on whatever the topic is and whatever the dynamics are, is there one or two leaders who could be courageous in going first and divulging a bit authentically or even vulnerably what they're feeling and why this topic is important for them to discuss. In doing so, it does pave the way for more psychological safety because you find a leader whose courage opens the hearts of others
Mhm.
and allows real conversation to happen. And typically when we can do that, if we've set up the offsite well, we've already set this a container for this safety.
Mhm.
But if you're in a day-to-day meeting, that's something you could do as a leader, is take a pause, take a bio break, and see who in the room could change and open up not just perception and but safety through more heart-centered sharing.
Mhm.
How about
Yeah,
you?
yeah, absolutely right. This notion of pausing and timing out, creating space, literally physically going somewhere else, creates different, physical sensations in your body,
Yeah.
different emotional states, and this notion of getting someone who is literally a leader, doesn't have to be in the position of leader, but is in a leadership role to express something that has yet gone unexpressed.
Yeah.
Right? And these could be emergent in the moment, things that we're not aware of, even as facilitators coming in, where something else is getting in the way that we haven't been briefed on, that needs to be said, right?
Mhm.
So it's incumbent upon us as facilitators to try to be sensitized to this and help the group work through whatever their stated objective is, but at a deeper level, is there any distractions or anything getting in the way from having more profound, change and progress?
Mhm.
And you always hear this expression, the elephants in the room, yet there's a lot of people that talk about the elephants in the room and never do anything about the elephants in the room.
Yeah.
And we are big fans of elephants in general, because addressing the elephants and dealing with the elephants helps create the breakthrough that you need at the individual level, at the group level, and for the organization.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
So find the elephants, spot them, see if you can actually find the courage within yourself to notice and name it. It might not be the environment that you're used to, but what might change? What possibilities could exist in dialogue if you named it, or partner with another leader in the room so that the two of you are actually naming it together.
Yeah. Beautiful. Thanks for watching. Take good care.